right. Success at last.
We're doing this offline or live?
One of our chatters says this is proof it's easier to raise 28 million than it is to be heard. Yeah, let's keep doing it. We're back in action. So Danny, sorry to make you repeat yourself, but it's been a big day for TGOD. The raise has been a long time coming, but for those that are first timers to it, explain if you could what you've achieved.
Sure, sounds good. Yeah, well, we set out, I think it was on February 7th that we announced, or February 8th that we announced the $10 million. So today is pretty exciting as we're able to announce that we've officially closed both the non-brokered and the brokered portion. But the important thing for us is we've closed about $22 million non-brokered and then just under $6.4 million brokered. So as a business and as managers, all we can really do when we're running a business like this is de-risk certain aspects of the business, and being able to raise this kind of capital privately amongst 2,500 retail shareholders, I think is a testament to management's ability to de-risk on the financial side of the business.
Right. The TGOD raise has certainly been one that a lot of people are first timers into a financing. How many retail investors, or how many investors did you actually roll up into this whole financing?
So this financing alone, we added about 1,100 new shareholders. So we had just over 900 as part of the non-brokered, and just over, I guess, just under 200 as part of the brokered side. So our total now is just under 2,500 shareholders, and that's, I'd say about 98% of those all have written checks under $100,000, which is again a pretty unique situation when you can attract that much retail interest in such a early stage company in an early stage market.
For sure. So I was very excited by the fact that so many people that maybe hadn't realized they were accredited investors or had never really sort of looked at getting into a financing were taking this opportunity to really get in. And I think probably the company that you're attached to as well, Emblem Cannabis, the financing on that sort of really got the ball rolling on that front.
Sorry, I missed the very last part of what Emblem?
Saying that a lot of people were first time financiers in the Emblem deal. How much crossover do you think there is on the TGOD side?
Okay, good question. I don't actually think there is too much crossover. I mean, I definitely recognized a few of the same names, but generally speaking, through just different mechanisms, we were able to attract a pretty much whole new audience, and I'd say about 95% are all new investors. Mm-hmm. So there's still a lot more interest coming into the space, and I mean we're still, like I said, we're still a little bit early in the space, but being able to attract that amount of new money and accredited money, I mean, it doesn't, not everyone's accredited. We probably had, if we could have opened this up to all investors, we would have had, I easily probably 4,000 or 5,000 shareholders. The amount of people that we had interested was just incredible. But I wish we could have taken it all. But of course, there was quite a few in there that weren't actually accredited. So, going through the actual requirements, obviously investors do have to be accredited. They do have to have that $1 million net worth number, or the income requirements, which are $200,000 a year for an individual or $300,000 as a family.
It's going to be a little frustrating for a lot of those guys. They've done their research. They know the company they want to invest in. They like what you're offering, but the rules basically say, sorry, if you're born into it, you're qualified. But if you're doing your own research, you're out of luck unless you're earning lawyer money.
Yeah, 100%. It's kind of unfortunate, really, because you've got so many of these. Especially there's what we're seeing in the cannabis space right now is there's so many millennials that are actually interested in investing in the space. Mm-hmm. And you're probably thinking right now the problem with that is, there's not a whole, I mean, the typical accredited investor is, over 60 years old. They've, paid off their home. That's not always what we're attracting here. We're really attracting everyone, and having to turn away people for, even a $4 or $5 grand investment It's not going to break the bank.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
not going to, it's not going to ruin anyone financially. It's too bad that we have to sort of follow that rule. But I guess at the end of the day, it's there for a reason.
Yeah. We certainly have a lot of readers that I think were jumping into TGOD as first-time investors, first-time financiers. They're learning the ropes around what a private placement is and what a warrant is, and getting it for the first time. On your side, that's a pretty big job, getting all those people who have a lot of questions that may or may not have that knowledge of the process, to have to put 1,500 people through that process and chase down all those small checks. It's a bit of a task on your side and on the broker side.
Yes.
What's the value on your end of
are
going that way?
Well, we always find that institutions usually take up all of these early opportunities. So we're sort of a retail-driven company, and we just want to be able to sort of open this up to everyone. There's no reason that your average investor shouldn't be able to participate in a company like this, or participate in a private placement opportunity like this.
Yeah.
It shouldn't just be the big guys that get to make all the money.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much been our approach, and people really appreciate it. So it goes a long way. And once we're a public company and you get all these investors excited and ready to present the opportunity, we're able to have a liquid market, and ultimately we'll be able to raise even more capital once we're public.
So a lot of companies, they raise their money the traditional way. The grey hairs get in there and they've got the 4-month hold, and then when that 3 month and 3 weeks comes along, the shorts start setting in just before everyone gets to dump their paper. The value I'm thinking of getting all these little guys in there is your shareholder base isn't likely to get slammed as it is if you've got one guy with a $2 million stake.
Well, that's exactly it. And structuring financings like this, no one shareholder can hurt us, and no one financing can hurt us. So we've thought through our free trade dates. We're going to stagger them out. All of our warrants have a year hold from listing. All of our private shares have a 6-month hold so far. Maybe we'll do something with a 4-month hold. Maybe we'll do something with no hold. So structuring these financings both, and not just from a trade date basis, but also from a geographical basis. So we've got shareholders from the States. We've got, of course, Canadian. We've got guys all over Europe. So these different groups have typically different timelines, different methodologies to how they invest their capital, different rules around the risk capital. So spreading it out as much as we can definitely helps on pretty much every basis, especially with free trade dates. So we saw it with Emblem, but Emblem ended up dropping for a few weeks before. March 11th was their free trade date, so they dropped a little bit before. But what you noticed on the actual date that the stock came free trading, March 13th, it hit a low, and then it rallied straight from 230 or 220, and then 3 or 4 weeks later, it was trading up to 330.
Yeah. The market obviously is a strange thing right now in the weed space. There's a lot of valuations that are hard to justify. But I think there was a lot of talk yesterday on the stream about how Emblem is pretty hard undervalued compared to competitors right now.
That's the thing. I mean, I can chat on that a little bit. What I've always said about Emblem is the fact that they're not just going for the medical market. They're not just going for the recreational market. When you break down cannabis and the active pharmaceutical ingredient in the cannabis plant, the cannabinoid, and you start extracting that and combining release mechanisms, either a slow release or a fast release, you're now targeting the world's largest pharmaceutical market in the world, which is pain and sleep. So how do you value that? That's definitely a little bit harder to take into account. But
sure,
if you think about it, that has the potential to be one of the only companies that can offset the opioid crisis. So that's a pretty big market they're going for.
And it's equipped on the management side to push into that bio market pretty hard with Mr. Stewart.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, John Stewart's the perfect guy for them to have run that division, that's for sure.
And we also saw last week Cannabo Health put out a report where they'd gone through all their data and found that 45% of people using benzos when given marijuana as a substitute were quite happy to leave off the benzos. So as more and more reports like that come out, I think this is going to change from the marijuana market to the straight up pharmaceutical market.
I'd have a hard time disagreeing. In fact, if you look at all the states where medical marijuana is legal, you'll notice that the opioid prescriptions, on average, are down over 5%, and they've only been in there for, not a whole lot of time. So I can only imagine how that's going to shape up once a few more years go by.
For sure.
I can imagine some of the pharmaceutical companies are, there's a reason there's lobbying happening against cannabis.
Mm-hmm. So on the TGOD front, we've got one of our users in there is put the big question of the hour: when does TGOD expect to go public?
I love it. The question of the hour. Well, all of our plans so far are aiming for Q4.
Okay.
We've been saying September, October, but just to be on the safe side of things, I think it's safe to say Q4 of this year. We haven't determined how we're going to go public yet, whether it's going to, there's a million different ways, so we're still sort of discussing that internally and figuring out the best course of action for us.
So the 6-month hold applies to from the date that you go public, correct?
Correct, yes.
So that's a fairly lengthy amount of time for a lot of guys to sit on their investment. But then I guess whenever I've heard people complain about that, I point to the $1.15 that people got in on Emblem compared to the price it's at now.
Well, the other aspect of it is we set these terms for a reason. We're able to attract money that we want to attract. Mm-hmm. We don't have shareholders in here that are begging to sell at the 4-month mark or begging to sell once the stock's immediately public. So structuring our financing like this allows us to pick and choose our shareholders, and in turn that's only beneficial for everyone down the road.
Right. I think the fact that you've set things up with such a giant shareholder base from the outset also sort of gives the stock a little bit of a helping hand. People don't realize how few shareholders a lot of companies have when they actually go to market.
For sure.
I've heard a lot of guys from other companies who point to the Emblem and TGOD deals as maybe being the new way forward to really build a base around a company rather than leaving it hanging in the usual 4-month Vancouver churn.
100%. I mean, we've now got 2,500 loyal shareholders that are, we're a completely shareholder-driven company. That's one of the things that I even stressed in my last shareholder update is we're entirely shareholder-driven. We're focused on the retail shareholder. We actually want to, and I've had to hire, we've got a team of 4 now just on the IR division, being able to help manage this process because, as 2,500 certainly not easy to manage.
It's a lot of calls.
It's a lot of calls. I mean, with Emblem, I was getting about 300 emails a day just before we were listing, and probably 100 phone calls. So, and that we had a goal of reaching 1,000 retail shareholders for the Emblem listing. This one we've got a goal of reaching 4,000. So, my job is just getting started here, and although we're off to a decent start, I think there's. Most of the work is still ahead of us.
Certainly got a decent amount of money in the war chest there. And so what is that money being applied to right now?
True. Yeah, we closed on 28.3 today, like I said, and we've got about 13.4 that we closed on in December. So the unique thing with TGOD, and one of the biggest problems in the industry that we're seeing right now, is a lot of companies went out and bought an existing building or bought a property that wasn't really necessarily fit to scale for a recreational market. So with TGOD, we've got 100 acres now. We started with 25. We've officially bought the neighboring 75 acres, so we're up to 100. And with that, we, just to put that into context, our phase 1 expansion takes up 3.5% of our entire property. So what's the money being used for? our phase 1 expansion is about 150,000 square feet. We've got phase 2, phase 3 in the works, and we believe we can build out on about 70% of the whole property. So I don't want to give any numbers away, but it's a lot bigger than 150,000 square feet,
Sure
and that's where all the money's going.
And you've got a little time to get that rolling before you actually have to worry about what the market thinks of it.
Well, we've got, by the time we list, depending on how we structure our IPO, we could be getting into a funded capacity, well in excess of 40, 50, 60,000 kilograms eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're not really building this company to be a small producer. With 100 acres, we can make this thing as big as, just have to divide, just do the math on it, but it's a pretty big number of what we can get our actual funded capacity up to based on the square feet that we can produce on.
There's a bit of a game of chicken going on at the upper levels of the LP scene right now with who can build the biggest facility as quickly as possible. Do you think that when everyone maxes out at what their plans are right now, their phase 2 and phase 3, that we're still going to be in a case where we have an undersupply in the market?
I think so. If you reverse engineer the numbers and figure out where, if you look at the estimated rec market, we're looking at 4 to 8 billion. So if you reverse engineer those numbers and figure out how many grams you need to produce to get to, let's take it on the base scenario, and if we use it $6 a gram, which is your average of wholesale and retail, you still have to produce 700,000 kilograms of marijuana. And even with Aurora coming up with 100, even with after you're looking at similar numbers, us looking at similar numbers, there's still a lot of room for that, and that's just on the low side. So it's still got such a long way to go, is our thought. And plus, these things take quite a bit of time to scale and to do it properly. And no one's ever grown cannabis at a commercial scale, which is what we're looking to do here. It's that part of it is still new. So for the development and the project build out, you need to have proper partners for that. You need to have, we call them alliance partners, but it's groups that you work with who have built these kind of things before that can help de-risk the actual build-outs for you and help you scale to those levels sooner.
So we've got a question on chat here. Will TGOD be on the US OTC? I feel like I know the answer to that.
I believe you do know the answer to that, and yes, we certainly will be. I know with Emblem we had a clearing symbol pretty quickly after listing. I think it just took a few days, but we'll be doing the same with TGOD for sure.
There's prickly question time. There are some people who are looking at Emblem and feeling like, with the stock having fallen off and with TGOD being such hard work to get through its financing, like, has Emblem suffered from the fact that attention may have diverted from that to TGOD from a lot of the same players?
It's a good question, but at the end of the day, we're focused on quite different things. I think if you're buying Emblem, you've got to you believe in the pharmaceutical side of things. You believe that it's not just going to be used recreationally, and that they can actually extract the active pharmaceutical ingredient into a pill and sustain or delay the release. And then if with TGOD, you're looking for a company that's going to be growing some of the higher quality organic cannabis at scale, with some solid project partners to deliver on that. So I don't think there's a whole lot of competition on that front. And I'd have a hard time thinking that people are pulling out of Emblem to put money into TGOD.
Okay. Another question: are there steps that still need to be done prior to going public, and if so, what? Or is it more of a timing thing?
Sorry, say that again?
On the TGOD side, one of our commenters has asked, are there steps that still need to be done prior to going public? And if so, what? Or is it more of a timing thing to go out in Q4?
It's a bit of both. Typically, the markets are stronger in the fall. Plus, we had quite a few companies coming public right now in March, April. I know Weed MD is coming out in a couple of days. Hydropothecary just came out. So we didn't want to come out at the same time as a few other guys. We wanted to come out strategically when there's not too many others coming. Plus the fact that we can put this $40 million to work, we can build significant value in the next 6 months. We're hoping to have our sales license soon. We're hoping to break ground on the expansion soon. There's a number of different things that we can do in interim to create value for our existing shareholders.
On the supply and demand side of things, there's a lot of speculation as to what the government regulations are going to come to in terms of how the product gets to market. Is TGOD sort of set up for the traditional, we're going to get patients and we're going to sell to patients, or is there a different strategy that we're hoping that the regulations will come around to in the meantime?
At this point, I can't talk too much about our sales strategy. We're looking at a number of different things. We've been approached by quite a few different LPs to wholesale to them. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we're slow and methodical in our release. We want to be, you only really get one shot at keeping patients happy. And one of the biggest problems in the industry is consistency, product supply and availability, and customer service. So if we can tackle these things in a meaningful way, I think it makes sense to make sure these things are completely under control first, and launch in a slower, methodical way.
There's a lot of talk about large entities that are non-traditional in the weed space, your pharmacies and whatnot, that are maybe angling to be the final destination for product. Any discussions on your end in terms of big players that are sniffing around the space?
Well, I mean, we saw probably about 6 months ago the release from shoppers looking to get into it one way or another. I'm still not 100% certain on how that's actually going to unfold. But as we saw, the government just announced it's going to be up to the provinces to determine how they actually want to distribute it. I mean, I had always thought that we'd probably see an LCBO or BCL model because the infrastructure already exists. But we've also got hundreds of dispensaries in each city. We've got there's quite a few different ways that it could be distributed. Actually, one of the interesting things I thought was from the initial announcement that they wanted to keep the same e-commerce platform alive that exists now. So, I thought that was interesting. You just keep shipping it direct to patients. But at the end of the day, there's just so many ways that it can be sold to patients around Canada. So I think ultimately it's just going to be determined by the provinces, and we'll just have to wait and see.
I've always suspected that the best way to do it would be to let the LPs have their own dispensaries, to have their own storefronts. They've already gone through the security checks. They already know the SOPs and have high quality setups. To then throw it to the LCBO or the BCLC to get their guys that frankly may not have any experience in this sector, or to pharmacies where you're already dealing with a lot of other issues. I always thought that having retail fronts for your TGODs and your Supremes would be a better deal. Is there any thought to whether that's something that the company wants to be involved in?
I can't comment too much on that front. I mean, it's a bit tricky to say. I certainly would love to have a retail storefront and be able to be in control of the distribution. But at the same time, until we can figure out exactly how it's going to be implemented, it's tough to put too much brain power towards that until we actually know the rules surrounding it.
Sure. For those that missed out on the financings thus far, any plans on TGOD raising money closer to the end of the year or in between now and then?
We haven't determined one way or another. It's just been our plan to get this financing all wrapped up and complete. If there is, we'll certainly be announcing it to our subscribers on in our database. So if you're interested in participating in anything in the future, you just log on to www.tgod.ca. It's just a landing page for now, but if you fill out that little information form, we can get you into to our subscriber list and make sure you're kept in the loop with respect to any future offerings.
Excellent. Well, I think we might let you go and continue your very busy day at this point. Unless there's
All right,
something else
thank
out
you.
there that you think that the people need to hear about what TGOD's doing. Is anything the market doesn't understand or that you think needs clarifying?
I mean, I think at the end of the day, we're just, it's not we're not doing anything groundbreaking here. It's simply de-risking certain sides of the business. So the way we've structured our financings with a retail approach, we've proven our ability to raise capital a number of times now, so we can effectively de-risk the financial side of the business. We've got incredible alliance partners that we have working on the project side, so we can effectively de-risk part of the project and construction management side. We've got an absolutely incredible team. Several members from our partner groups have come on our board to help out. We believe in science, so we can, a plant is a plant is a plant.
Mm-hmm.
We've hired a number of scientists. We've got about 8 new hires in the last few months here. PhD guys, Masters of Plant Biology guys. These guys understand specifically why things are happening in plant biology. So we figure we can de-risk the cultivation side of our business. And we're made up of a very strong capital markets group behind us. So we can effectively, I think our go-to-market strategy worked quite well with Emblem.
Mm-hmm.
We've delivered on everything we said we would on that front. We delivered on everything we said we would on the TGOD front. And I think that resulted in us de-risking the capital markets side of the transaction. So like I said, all we can really do is de-risk these certain aspects of the business.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, create an opportunity for all shareholders involved to make some money.
On the Emblem side, just briefly, I've been saying to people for the last couple of weeks, the Emblem is one of the great undervalued entities out there right now. When you compare market cap to market cap, apples to apples. What do you think is? I mean, obviously, there's only so much you can say, but what can people expect in the next month, 3 months, in terms of potential catalysts for the share price?
On the Emblem front,
yeah,
I think there's a number of things they're working on the pharmaceutical side that could be pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had a full update from them in a few weeks, but I'd like to think that there's other things on the production front that'll be picking up. They'll be getting their phase 2 online in the coming months. Also, their expansion. I mean, the capacity they have on their existing property
mm-hmm.
is quite large as well. So if we can get some news from the production front, get some news on the pharmaceutical front, they're already probably one of the fastest growing LPs as far as their patient count goes. I think they just actually stopped accepting new patients as of yesterday or the day before.
Okay.
So it's a testament to their marketing and branding and their ability to attract new patients. So I mean, there's quite a few different things, not to mention their other vertical, which is GrowWise, the clinic networks. I think they've got about 11 or 12 running now. So
mm-hmm.
It's not just the one vertical that they can report on. There's 3 verticals they can report on. So there should be quite a bit of news flow coming out of them in the next few months.
Nice one. Thanks for your time, Danny. I appreciate you existing through our audio difficulties early on. We'll look forward to getting more information on TGOD as the year rolls out, and certainly let us know if there's any more opportunities for people to jump in.
Okay, perfect. I really appreciate your time, Chris.
Thanks,
Thank
man.
you very much for listening, guys. And if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out to anyone on my team, and we'll make sure you're taken care of.
Last chance, chatters, for one more question if you've got anything there. I don't see anything coming through. All right, man. I appreciate it. Talk soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks, Chris. Cheers. Bye-bye.
All right. So,
There you go.
did you hear any of that?
Not a word.
Not a word. You have to be on the headphones like me.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's just quickly switch this back to the Yeti so I can take the cans off here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Ugh. Well, okay, chatters. So, as we saw, Danny from TGOD was very forthcoming in what's coming up for the TGOD investors. It's something where if you're invested in this thing for the first time, normally when you're in a PP, you get in, you get your documents in, you get your check cashed, and then maybe a couple of weeks later you get your stock certs and you sit there for 4 months, and then you've got your money back. Now, this one is a little bit more complex in that if you're in that early stage with TGOD, you're in something there that's like way early before going to market. So there's a lot more patience required. But also, if you look at what happened, well, if you look at what happened with Emblem, people who got in early got in for $1.15, and then when it went public, it went up to $4.
Yeah.
And then you got your warrants as well, so you can sell it for $4 and buy your $2 warrant. With TGOD, for the payback for that long wait is you get a full warrant. You don't get a half warrant per share. You only get a full warrant. So the opportunity to invest in any stock price rises is definitely bigger than most.
How did it get named the Green Organic Dutchman? That seems to be a very odd name. It's a good question.
I don't know. The name was there before the ticker symbol, so I look at TGOD and I think, oh yeah, that ticker is a bit full of itself. But Crytek, you got to get your questions in when the dude's still talking, man. God. Does TGOD have preventative measures to ensure its product remains its organic accreditation and not risk what happened to Organigram? Look, I think what happened to Organigram was...
CEO fell asleep at the wheel?
No, the CEO didn't fall asleep at all. He was wide awake.
Oh, Jesus.
He was wide awake.
Here we go. All right,
he was wide awake. And
he drove that sucker right into the...
Let me tell you, one or two things happened with Organigram. Either someone was sneakily applying pesticide for a full year to their product.
Right.
And the CEO never figured it out and never tested for it.
No.
In which case the CEO is an idiot.
Absolutely.
Or the CEO knew that they were putting pesticide all over that crop for a full year and to this day claims that he has no knowledge. There's no win in that. There's no the CEO
it's either he's a criminal or an idiot.
Or he's an idiot criminal.
He could be both. You never know.
So Dennis Arsenault, how you doing, buddy? Full disclosure, there's an unpaid bill from about 2 years ago for Organigram.
Nice guys. Thanks, dudes.
Thanks. It was back when I really could have used that bill being paid too. But I will say this about Organigram right now.
Right.
Dennis Arsenault, the CEO, shifted sideways.
Totally, yep.
At least on paper, shifted sideways.
Yeah.
They've given him the corner office and said, there you go, uncle. You go sit in there and play Facebook all day. He's not working there anymore. He owns too much stock to get rid of
him,
because then he'd pull a Brusatori and just sell everything at the market.
Right.
So
they're cutting him just in the back.
Keep him around. He's like, you can be responsible for the market. But he's not really doing anything. From what I understand, he's, doesn't have to turn up.
Censored.
Yeah. It's like, Dennis is in the room. So as a result, Organigram is a screaming buy. It's well undervalued and has gone up significantly in the last couple of weeks.
Well, that's good news for them.
It's good news for anyone who was sitting on the stock.
Well, that too.
Let's see. Let's pull up Organigram's numbers. We're still on new way from yesterday. Poor OGI. Yeah. I had such faith in it early on. So that's, let's see here, 3 months. So this is what happens when you get rid of a shitty CEO. Your stock goes from $2.25 to $3.50 in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And then down to $2.50 again. But
I realize that it's not the change of the world. It's
everything
just
else went down as well. Well, I mean, look, the market cap on Organigram is $250 million, which seems fair in a normal world, but when you compare it to the $1 billion market caps being given to other companies in the space, that's a buy.
That's ridiculous.
Like, I've crapped all over Organigram for so long, but that's a buy.
Well, you're right.
Now that they're not
killing people.
Killing people.
Oops, did I say that?
I mean,
it's cyanide, man.
You can't put something on something that's going to be burned and ingested that when it's burned creates hydrogen cyanide.
Yeah, that's not good.
That's not what you want in your weed.
Yeah, that's not medicine.
When you say when the government says weed kills, it's like you don't want that to literally be the case. So
maybe he was making a point.
OGI is a solid buy right now.
Yeah.
How did it get named the Green Organic Dutchman? I will push that question through Bricknorm to the powers that be and get an answer to that.
Because that's just like one of those left field names. You know what I mean?
think it came with the people who originally set it up. Like, it was a small group that originally set the deal up.
Okay.
And
They were Dutch?
long before it was public, Maybe it's a strain.
Okay.
Maybe
hold on
someone's
one
in
second.
chat
There we
who can
go.
tell us what the answer to this question is. I'm sure someone's asked it before.
Yes.
It's probably like I know Danny did an AMA Reddit.
Oh, yes, that's right.
So I'm sure it was in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is what I like about this crew, the Emblem and the TGOD guys is number one, they're coming at retail rather than going for the easy 20 million from one guy in Telus or something.
Right.
Two, they're smart enough to know that going out to an AMA at Reddit is something that sets you aside, right? Because you're talking to a different crowd.
Absolutely.
This is why we're doing the Twitch stream, because we're talking to a different crowd on Twitch than we traditionally talk to. Our stuff.
Yes.
When we were writing at Stockhouse, back
Right.
when Stockhouse had people writing on it, we were bringing in a different audience. He was focused on technology, I was focused on weed, and we was very specifically and deliberately trying to bring in people that don't go to Stockhouse.
Right, new people.
To go to Stockhouse because the content is good. And long story short, now we get to control our environment.
Yeah,
We get to
like
say,
that.
all right, we don't just write the way we want to write, but we also can talk to you guys directly. And
The interaction's key.
yeah, the interaction's great. I wish you guys had asked more questions because I was running out. But but the reason we're doing this is so that you guys can actually be involved in the interview. So when we're asking, anything of any CEO, and we're going to try and bring someone in every day to either in studio or on the phone. You guys let loose. If you think the company's shit,
Go for it.
Say
Let 'em have it.
Say it's shit. If you
Yep.
think there's a problem, talk about it. We're not afraid to let a CEO or an IR guy fumble
Be a little
around.
uncomfortable.
Because we're
They have to answer for this stuff.
we are a marketing consultants for lifestyle delivery systems, as an example. And today on Twitter, someone asked me any news on lifestyle delivery systems having closed their financing.
Right.
The conjecture was that the financing.
She's apologizing.
Don't apologize. Come on. You're learning what we're learning.
Yes.
So there was issues last week. The rumors were that LDS wasn't going to complete its financing because it couldn't get through due diligence. So we put it to them, and they said, no. This is just a delay. It's all going forward.
Right.
By next week, you'll have more information. And
They're asking about international. Sorry.
we'll get there. And so someone asked me on Twitter today, have you heard anything about LDS actually having finished its... No, I haven't.
Right.
And the guy said, are there any concerns? Well, LDS is a client of ours. It would be very easy to say, no, everything's great.
Yeah.
You know what? Everything's not great.
Nope.
If they don't get that financing, the fact that they're not raising $12 million isn't neither here nor there because they can raise more money elsewhere. Problem will be, how does one believe the CEO going forward?
That's a tough one.
And as a consultant to this company, you know what, we want the company to do well, but we also need the company to do exactly what it says it's going to do. And if that financing doesn't go through, if they can't get through due diligence, there needs to be a really good reason why it didn't happen the way the CEO said it was going to happen. So
Right.
we're holding people to account. You guys, if you have complaints about a company, do let us know. If you think the company's great, do let us know.
Okay.
Bring back OGI to $1.90. Nah, man, it's like if they keep doing the right thing, it's
It'll
gone
happen.
now.
Yep.
Like if it's under $3, get in there. Like it should be legitimately with what they have on the ground, a $600 million company. There's at least a double in OGI if it's run properly, and if they don't let Dennis Arsenault near any of the knobs. Because if Dennis has his hand on the nuclear football, OGI could at any point start growing cucumbers by accident. You don't know. You don't know. It's like we were talking about
Laced
before.
with hydrogen cyanide.
The Sunrise Market down the street here, we were talking the other day, like, they were selling bags of avocados for $1. And we were just like, are they really avocados or are they lemons that are painted green? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Where are they getting...
How are they getting this deal?
There can't be anyone locally who's got avocados growing in their backyard, surely. Anyway, we're off the track.
Yes.
Any comments on phenol mining? What can we add to what we said yesterday? Another question on OGI. We'll get to phenol.
Yeah.
Prior to OGI's fuck up, Health Canada did not test that post. So with that in mind, it would not be surprised if OGI used it knowing it would not be tested for it. Look, I'll give you the inside scoop on what happened with OGI.
All right.
OGI was doing what it does. It was putting pesticide on that it shouldn't. And wasn't testing for it because why would you test for a thing that
You know
that
what you're
putting
doing.
on?
Yeah.
But then they sold a batch to Aurora, and Aurora which is being run properly, tested the product, and then got back to Organigram and said, "There's pesticide all over your product." And Organigram went, "Oh no, it's what? I don't know what you're talking about. That's ridiculous." And Organigram were like, "No, man, it's all over your shit.
Yeah.
Like, we can't sell this. We're sending it back to you." And so Organigram was like, "Oh, sorry about that." But Organigram was like, "TikTok, motherfucker! Like, come on, you can't just say our bad. Like, what's going on? We have to go to our patients now and say we found this thing and do our own recall."
Yeah.
So only then did Organigram be like, "Oh, sorry, we have a recall." So
They wanted to bury that one deep.
look, if Aurora had never said a thing,
Oh, it would have gone for years.
they would have just kept doing what they were doing.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Till somebody actually did die.
Well, there are people who are now claiming, they're in class action lawsuits that are claiming that they've had adverse health effects
Right.
from smoking
That's
weed from
weed.
Organigram,
Yeah.
which was supposed to be organic. All right.
So disappointing.
Phenol mining.
All right.
We don't know. We don't know anything about phenol right now. They're not talking.
Nope.
If they're going through deals, they're keeping it to themselves.
They ain't talking about it.
But they ain't talking to us right now, so we don't have any information on that. So the moment we do, we'll let you know, but we have not been able to get phone calls answered for a while. So I imagine that the reasoning for that is that they're in a quiet
Hopefully they're
period,
doing something.
doing their DD on whatever they're doing, but I would love to hear from them because I think a lot of people really want to know what's up. I still sit on a bunch of stock on that thing, and I would love to know. But that's also probably why they're not answering my calls.
Yeah, exactly. They don't want to
Tell me some inside information, and we're all in trouble.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have to sell it before I can find out. Okay, has Danny spoken about international? No, he didn't speak about international.
No.
We didn't ask about international. Look, I would think that even for right now, for international sales to be any part of their business plan would be premature. The rules are going to change 8 times between now and when they go public. So I think that there'll be more information on that. Yeah. I still am a bit bemused that like Afria is investing in Florida, while IMH is being told, yes, you can uplist to the venture, but you must sign a thing saying you can't do business in the US. Like that's
I don't understand.
rules for one, not rules for the
I
other.
think the regulatory bodies are really out to lunch on a lot of this.
Where are those IMH, Chris? I don't understand what that means. Montana 8181. But let's look at IMH today, because they had a big day.
Invictus, they did. They did.
Oh. See, this problem now, they're on the other exchange. There we go. There we go. So Invictus up 19% today. So what did we say yesterday?
Cents, man.
We said yesterday Invictus crazy undervalued.
Yep.
And what happens? Up it comes 19% the next day. Now I'm not going to say it was us.
No.
Entirely.
No. Smart investors.
Smart investors who may have been like prodded into looking at something that they wouldn't normally look at.
Exactly.
Invictus still crazy undervalued at that price that it's at right now. I like it on an ongoing basis. IMH babies, IMH. Montana, and make your question a bit clearer on the IMH front. Like some with 19K in cash and 10.5 million deficit. All right, let's talk about Wildflower.
Okay. Here we go.
No,
You sure? No. All right. Okay. You're gonna be nice.
I'm not going to trash them.
Okay.
Look, I lost a bet with Wildflower. I told them that their company wasn't going anywhere.
Okay.
And their company went from 25 cents to $1 in like a minute and a half.
Right. Okay.
Admittedly, it then dropped to 60 cents.
Yeah.
But
There
it
was
looks
no
like they've found the
reset.
base now. Look, if they can hold the base around 70 cents for the next week or so, and they don't do a financing, then they're idiots. Because it's not going to hold up there on limited news for long, and there'll be limited news under that existing deal. So my take is the distribution deal that Wildflower announced that then they point to as being the thing that elevated the stock. It's not a distribution deal. So, well, it is a distribution deal. It's not a sales deal.
No.
It's going to be on Wildflower to sell, and the company that they've done a deal with can then distribute them pretty much anywhere. So if you're a cynic, you call that a drop shipper deal.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a non-cynic, you could say, well, they can go crazy on the sales front now. There's enough ambiguity in there that I'm concerned that a $35 million market cap is excessive right now.
Okay, well, let's just say that $35 million market cap, compare that to the International Cannabis Corporation's over $100 million market cap with the same news coming out to a certain extent.
All right, so let's let you get on the ICC front, because that news release was bogus.
Yes, it was absolutely bogus. They sent out a news release yesterday saying that they got involved with a company called Avanti RX Analytics, which is based out here in Canada. And their whole idea was they were going to be branching out from their Uruguayan operations, which is where they were supposed to be making a mint. But according to my calculations, the best they could pull out of that country is maybe $9 million in gross profits, and the company has got a $100 million market cap. Where's the value in this?
Well, yeah.
So, admittedly, they sensed that they were in hot water, so they decided that they're going to try and come north. And this deal was supposed to be some sort of like opening the doors. The floodgates are open. We're in Canada. We've got a deal with Emblem. We're going to take access to them in 2018. Both of those things are not really good news as they pretended it to be. The first one with this deal with Avanti. Avanti's only taking the product. They're not selling it. ICC has to find the customers. ICC has to sell it, so they're still doing all the marketing and selling. And Avanti, it's not an exclusive deal, which to me senses that both companies don't think this transaction is valuable. So neither one wants it exclusive. And then also, Avanti is a quality control company. How are they going to get this product into Canada? And they're saying this also that somehow this is going to get them in better position with Health Canada in order to get their product approved. Now, the difference in the system between Uruguay and Canada is miles.
Right, in Uruguay they're growing it in fields.
Absolutely. So it's going to be
With
probably a
donkeys.
hot or a cold day in hell before they actually get this stuff through the regulatory process to be sold in Canada. So in a sense, and then now they're also saying that we're going to be selling stuff to Emblem.
Mm-hmm.
Emblem has no commitment in that deal. ICC has to come up with the CBD oil.
We could sign a similar deal.
Well, exactly. ICC then has promised it will sell 10% of its inventory at a to be determined price, which is going to be a highway robbery in order to get the product across. It's something wrong. It's the way business
Well,
is
it's
done.
good to actually get
Right?
the product over the border,
Yeah.
which in itself.
But then, is Emblem even going to be able to sell it? This is the other problem. It's still going to have to be approved by Canadian regulatory authorities. And there's no promise that they're going to continue the relationship, nothing at all. And it's an MOU. So in 2018, Emblem may not even be looking for stuff from these guys. It's just like Tesla. They could get their stuff from anybody. Why is it going to be ICC? If you ask me, the only people that are going to want to get their weed from Uruguay are people that live in Uruguay. If the company changes tact and decides that they're going to be a play in South America, then I can see if they actually grow across the continent to justify the $100 million valuation.
I think you're underestimating the number of people who are looking for that sweet Uruguayan Kush.
I know I lay awake at
everybody
night.
in Canada been like,
Yeah.
if only we could get that sweet Uruguayan stuff.
Life would be so different. So in my mind, ICC is, wildflower marijuana, we're all going crazy over a $35 million market cap, and we got ICC with over 100, and they got even less than wildflower.
So yeah, we both agree that ICC is well
They haven't even
overvalued.
sold a
And
pound
you know
of marijuana.
what happens when a company is that overvalued is they start pumping out news releases that don't make any sense,
Yeah.
and we're probably going to see a lot more of that. Remember the old Luxaria days?
Oh,
When
yes.
Luxaria was just pumping out news that was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we've got a deal with a Jamaican company that has a network across North America.
Oh,
and
God.
like, you went to the website and they were selling chicken weed, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And cancer cures, and it was like,
It was just a
You
website.
you guys, it's illegal to sell your weed from Jamaica into
Yeah.
Canada. What are you doing? And then we called up the Luxaria guys, and they were like, oh, yeah, we're a little bit, I guess we probably frame things in excessive ways.
You mean you
No
lied?
kidding. No
Oh,
kidding.
there we go. Oh, okay.
Nah, they didn't lie. They
Okay,
just,
you're right, you're right.
They Colin weaved it. They imagination hacked it.
Okay, we've actually developed a terminology for this
Oh,
now.
yeah, he's earned the right.
We IP'd
He's
it.
earned the right. We IP'd it. No, like when you say we have a deal with a Chinese website to
Yep.
put our videos up, and then
That's fair
somewhere
enough.
between that, someone says, it's one of China's leading media platforms, and
And
you're
then,
like, okay, well that's
then
something
fuck
that
that. It's
nobody.
actually the biggest one.
Then in the headline it says it's the biggest in China.
Yeah. With billions and billions and billions of views.
Yeah.
And of course, they don't expect anybody to check it because the website's in Chinese.
Right, it is. Yeah. Sorry
All right.
about the Twitch buffering, guys. I believe that there's a little bit of buffering going on.
Is there?
Nothing we can do about it. It's just the way the world
Is it on
works.
that side?
Sometimes someone in Estonia is trying to crash the internet, and it ends up being. And now we've got the trains colliding outside our window.
That's always cool. No, we're still moving now. Well, no, it's gone to black again. Oh, no, it's a commercial. Pizza Bites.
Oh. We love the commercials.
Yes.
All right, so
All right.
IMH skyrocketed to 10. You told me sell 70. No, it's just kidding. Shut up. Someone asked about CHV before. Canada House. All right, so here's the thing with Canada House, and it kind of stops me dead, I believe. Canada House is the triple-pronged deal, including Abomedics.
Okay.
I'm going to read something that I was sent this morning that, if I can find it. I'm not going to read it because I can't find it. Someone sent me something on Facebook or something like that. Basically said, listen, on the CHV front, there's infighting between the bits. There's a struggle between many people to figure out what the direction of the company should be, and that until the company actually figures out how it's going to work, that it might be a bad deal. I've had dealings with the Abomedics crowd before, and they were almost through Stockhouse once or twice, and I backed away from the deal. I just didn't like the way it was playing out. So CHV, on a very 30,000 square foot view, they're not my favorite thing. Like, there are a lot of guys out there that are jumping on anything that's low value because it's going to become high value, and that's a strategy that in this market right now kind of works to a point, but you've got to get out before the other people figure out what you figured out. So CHV right now, it's not one of my things. Not a fan. They have a ton of options at 10 cents. Yeah. See, you pretty much want to be diving into some deep dives on how financings have come together before companies get to market right now, because companies that have loaded up the truck at 2 cents and 3 cents before they went public at 50 cents, no matter what happens, whether it goes up or down, those people are making money, so they'll be paper burnt. So I trust that deal less than I trust a lot of others. I trust Matika more than I trust CHV.
That's saying a lot.
And, I'm not so much of the love of Matika. Speaking of Matika, what do you think? What should we call Boris and see if he answers?
Yeah.
I like this.
Remember, you got to switch the audio
I gotta
around.
switch the audio
Yeah,
back.
yeah,
All right,
yeah.
so stay with me, boys. Is that the one?
Yeah, and then we go to desktop audio and stuff, so that's going to pick up that. And then we got to...
All right. Okay, let's see if I can get Boris on the line. I gotta figure out if I still have his number. That could throw a crimp in things.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think about Canada opening a new place in Kelowna?
Canada, big news today.
Yeah, big news. 16th clinic. They're
The
growing. The
market does not give a shit, unfortunately,
No.
because the market just looks at clinics and says, "I don't understand," but I like it a lot.
I think it's great progress in their plan.
Stay with me, guys. I'm going to try and get Boris on the line. Take into account that he's on the other side of the country, so it's like 12 o'clock at night right now. Keep talking.
I'm talking.
Tell me more
Sorry.
what you think of crappy shit.
Okay, all right. What else did we look at today? Well, Invictus. What do you think about Invictus's deal with Canopy Growth, getting the stuff on Tweed Main Street's online store? Is that a good move, bad move? What do you think?
It doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have to go out and get their own patients. They can just, live off Canopy's.
Mm-hmm.
And Canopy clearly is struggling to get its own supply out, so it's crafting it as being a artisan product. It just means it didn't come from our shitty deal.
That's cool.
I'm gonna email Boris.
All right, he's emailing. All right, then. What else do we want to take a look at here? Talked about Golden Leaf yesterday, of course.
All right, I have emailed Boris
Okay.
from Matika. If he gets back to me, then we'll talk about that. So IMH. So Canopy's doing this whole artisan Main Street, come to us for all your artisan weed thing.
Mm-hmm.
You could just easily classify that as we've run out of weed. Click here for other producers that we'll get a piece of from the referral. Listen, I made it pretty clear a couple of days ago that Canopy was getting a lot of product from other suppliers that are clamping it down now for their own use.
Okay.
Abcan's one of those. It's coming public soon. I can't tell you how I know that information, but I know that they were supplying Canopy and they're not supplying it now.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a move by Canopy to try and shore itself up. It's going to the little guys and saying, hey, if we're going to sell your shit anyway, maybe we can make it like an e-commerce roll-up kind of deal.
Right.
The train, this is going to be a thing for us. Whenever the trains roll by, we're going to hear people going suddenly, train. It's funny, like, we're talking and we're watching the stream, and the stream is so buffered that it's like
It's a minute and a half.
5 minutes ago. Yeah. So the train is long gone while we're talking, and your comments are coming through. Not getting anything back from Boris, unfortunately, right now, but we'll see. See what we can do. So what else you guys got? What else you guys want to talk about? I'll ask that question now, and the answers will come about 10 minutes later when...
we're doing something else entirely.
Yeah. You know what we can do?
What's that?
Why don't we kill the stream for a second and then reset it, and then at least it'll be a fresh thing.
Okay, sure.
So we're going to do that.